Hey everybody. Apologies if you're watching this. This is a secondary recording of an episode that we had previously watched, but due to... Sorry, I wanted to use the word malfeasance. I don't think that's appropriate. Due to errors in judgment on yours truly, based on yours truly, um, only half of the episode was recorded, sound-wise, namely my half. So unless you wanted to watch me reacting to things that Lessons says without Lessons actually saying them, that one is getting trashed, and we're re-recording this entire thing, and I'm going to be editing both of them together in some sort of coherent or incoherent mashup. So apologies in advance for what you're about to see. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Durarara. So, once again, thank you to Master Detective for sponsoring this series. First off, though, we have some comments. First one being from Master Detective, from the Patreon, from the episode Takes a Sudden Turn. Always amusing to watch these, lol. I do agree with Lessons that his biggest problem with the show may be that it isn't a show where bad people get their comeuppance. You could probably count on the number of pure good guys in Durarara on hand, with most characters being shades of gray and most being a brand of sociopathic. For instance, Nami, our villain for the first 12 episodes, got caught and defeated, and now she's just hiding out at Isaiah's office and working for him. Is that really a just punishment for her crimes? Not at all. I find it interesting, though. I think a lot of viewers enjoy Durarara and following this motley cast due to how eccentric they all are, and figuring out what people are up to. In this episode, we saw Kita has some relationship with Yellow Square, and that they want him back. Why is that so? We see that perhaps Kita acts flirty with Henri to give Mikado a chance to flirt with her. What's Kita really thinking here? We see 3 random pieces all on the center of Isaiah's chessboard. What's up with that? Now these are leading questions of me, but I think asking these questions and trying to figure them out is part of what makes the show enjoyable. We're all different, though, and I completely respect one just simply not vibing with the show.
Thank you for that. That's refreshing to hear.
I don't. Fuck you! Now I'm going to go into that Saturday Night Live sketch. What's up with that? What's up with that?
I mean, again, he's partially agreeing with me, and I partially agree with him. I mean, it's or them. Yeah, the lack of perhaps closure is the way I'm looking for. Because one way or the other, a villain getting their comeuppance is a form of closure, or getting away with it and not seeing them again is another form of closure. It's like, we're done with that, right? And here it's just like they're still there, like.
Yeah,
Oh, your thing is you now become somebody's bitch? Come on, that's not.
I mean, that's. I don't know why my brain can't finish sentences. That wasn't me stuttering. I just couldn't figure out how I want to say what I want to say. Because you're looking for closure, and we haven't gotten any. Because it's not done. Because why would the person... Why would they vanish if the story isn't done yet?
True, but you have these story arcs, so you would think that there's some natural endpoints, but then...
Well, life doesn't have natural endpoints, and much like life, these characters are still here. Right? It'd be different if, say, she got caught, right, and defeated, and then she moved off to some other city that's outside the purview of where we're at. But everything she cares about is actually here, so why would she? That wouldn't make sense. So she's just still here, because her story's not over.
True. Real life doesn't have natural endpoints, but narratives do.
Yeah, but we're only, close, we're a little past halfway with the story of the show. So that narratives have endpoints, sure, but we're not at the end of the narrative either.
Yeah, but you want at least arcs they're in as well.
Well, the
It's
thing is,
just
though, we're not dealing with narrative arcs a lot of time. We're dealing with specific character arcs, and the character arcs aren't over. I mean, I get what you're saying, that good writing should have certain qualities that cross all sorts of media. But my point is that you can't say that we should reach an endpoint on a story that we're not done with because the specific arc of one story is over, when the greater arc of the story itself isn't over. Like,
I mean, you
we
can
don't
continue with
know.
other characters. You have different characters. You continue with other characters,
Well,
right?
that's what
You know.
you're saying, because you're just guessing at what the story is going for. We don't know what the end point of the story is. Maybe that character is still important. Maybe that character still has to go through their own story arc, because maybe that wasn't their story arc. Maybe that was their our perspective of them through a different character story arc. Maybe they have their own story arc to come where we see them get developed. But
And
again, I know that's the
that's
element of
all.
the Motley Crew element
Yeah.
Master Detective themselves is saying that they understand that you dislike. But for me, that's a strength of this show, that it's in many perspectives same story.
But it's borderline needlessly complicated, because you don't necessarily get depth by having a lot of stuff on screen or like a bunch of characters. That doesn't necessarily. It can actually be the opposite. It can come out as being kind of shallow because you never really develop any one character at any one time, right? Like you constantly
Trying to
shifting
remember
from
the
one to
name
the
of the
other.
movie. What was the name of the
Yeah.
movie where somebody get, like, it's a politician? I don't think it's the president. They get assassinated
Mm,
live on television, and it's all about the different perspectives of the different people that are all
mhm.
recording this thing that's happening.
Yeah.
It's a pretty popular movie. I can't remember the name of it.
It's no, it's it the it's not the president, it's a presidential candidate, I believe. And it's not it's the brother of JFK, I think.
Well, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the name of the movie. It's something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the only thing in my head is like Viewpoint, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, I
something
know.
like
I
that. It's
think
essentially, though, that's what we have going on here. Because while you were talking, I was thinking that, sure, what you're saying doesn't have to be untrue, but there is also the perspective of just trying something new or trying something
true.
from a different perspective. Like, it's, I guess my thing is that you're saying having a bunch of characters on screen can make things confusing, and I don't think that's what's happening here. I think what we're getting is a bunch of different perspectives, sometimes with the same thing, um, and those are the different character arcs. And it's not that we're like, sometimes we go back to a previous thing that we've seen from a different character's perspective, and it's not having more characters on screen. It's giving you the alternative point of view of a thing you've already experienced before from a character who doesn't see things the same way as your main character does.
Yeah, again, it's to me it's borderline on necessary because at some point,
I mean, I disagree only from the element that it's interesting. It's interesting, and how many other things do you watch that has it? Obviously, for you, not many at all, because you would stop watching it. It feels like is what you're saying, but from my angle, getting somebody else's point of view and then their story to go with it on a thing that you're already experiencing is fairly unique. Like, not many other shows do it because they're just happy
yeah,
enough to
but
tell their
when you
story.
say an event, but they're not Rashomoning this, where there's a singular event and you have a circle of characters telling different aspects or their take on that
No,
event.
no,
You
it
have,
tends to be like a day or
yeah,
every couple of days, right? Or sometimes
yeah,
it is a singular event and it's only like 3 or 4 different characters that you get their perspective on it. But it's still a bunch of people experiencing the same things or the same arc from different perspectives, and that's fairly unique. That's what makes it more interesting from my point of view, because, like when we watch Gundam Seed, well, I guess Gundam Seed in particular, like, you have to get things from Kira's perspective, and sometimes it's like, this kid's a fucking dumbass sometimes. You know, it'd be cool if we had it from Atherin's perspective, because we agree with that, with Atherin's thinking a lot of the time. And it's like, getting the story from Atherin's perspective, I wouldn't mind watching a whole season of everything we saw in Seed. we see everything from Atherin, and the times Kira's not on screen, we see what Atherin's doing back in the plants or something. Just a more rational point of view from what would have been apparent at the time, the enemy faction. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's a cool thing. And a show doing it wrapped up in itself instead of like different seasons of different perspectives, I enjoy it. It doesn't seem like busy work for me because I'm the guy who's already like going out and making these boards, thinking of the concept boards, like what's their relationship to them? And it's like, oh, cool. So it turns out they're not actually enemies. They were motivated by this other thing that Isaiah's doing off on the side based on his own backstory with what's his name, the bartending looking guy, who then actually was a friend of Shinra from, I don't know, middle school, as it turned out. You know, it's more interesting. It doesn't lose anything for being difficult. It actually gains something from the introspection of all the characters.
Maybe, but I don't think it gains too much in order to justify it. I think that's the problem.
Well, I guess my problem here is that you're asking it to justify itself. Like, I think you would have no problem with this if this was a novel, right? Because it would just every couple of chapters, it'd be like, well, I don't want to read this guy's perspective. I can just skip these chapters. But since this is like a visual medium where you have no idea where any timestamp is going to be this guy's perspective on a thing versus her perspective on a thing, you can't skip it like you could a book. Like, I don't care what he was doing on X day when the main character was saving somebody. Flip, 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 flip. All right, back to the story I want to read. I feel like you have the perspective of I'm trapped watching this thing because I don't want this part of the story. I wish it would just stick to this guy and his point of view. So the stuff I don't know until he knows it.
It simplifies things.
Yeah, but does simple mean better?
Not necessarily, but it can be. Just like complex is not necessarily better either.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Sorry, I understand that the reverse of my position can often be the antithesis of what I'm saying, but it doesn't actually have to be the reverse of my position. I feel like this is like the point that we bring up, like Gundam Seed Destiny. I know it's probably going to be the thing I keep referring back to. When we were talking about the Impulse as a Gundam, how all these things have to operate independently of one another and come together and form a thing, and it's like, yeah, but if any part of this fails, then the entire thing fails. Because that's the problem with complexity, is that it all has to work together, otherwise it doesn't work together. And for me, this show is working together. The complexity of it doesn't fail in any one particular spot to bring down everything else. If Isaiah's story had been boring, then Isaiah showing up all the time might have been more of a drag, but I enjoy Isaiah's antagonistic nature and his plan that he's putting together that is so far interconnecting all the characters in such a way that we have to like see where it goes. Everybody else, like, I don't really particularly care about Shinra and Celti's romance that you hate because you feel that Shinra doesn't deserve this, that he's just using her and everything. Yeah, I don't particularly care for it, but I'm interested to see independently what the fuck happens with Shinra, or with Celti's search for her head, or, as it turns out now, no longer searching for her head. Yeah. And the fact her head is actually still out there, though, regardless, what's going to happen with that? The disappointment that is Shinra's dad. As a character, I mean, not as a person. I have no fucking idea what he's about. The fact that I thought he was going to be more menacing of a figure than he turns out to be.
I mean, it could be obfuscating stupidity, right?
Sure.
Like, oh yeah, I'm harmless until I'm not, right?
Well, I don't think that works the way you were saying it, but yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with what you're putting out there. Well, I mean, when you say he's obfuscating stupidity, I think that what you're saying is he's hiding stupidity, in which case he's not. You mean he's obfuscating his actual threat, in which he's hiding what the threat is, or what threat he actually represents. But sure, I guess, but it doesn't seem like it's a smart move to be like, I'm going to play dumb to these street hooligans and assume that they're not going to be the ones to randomly stab me on a street corner. Because, I mean, certainly if he has some sort of defense against getting stabbed, he didn't pull it out at any point. So, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like intelligence at play.
That's true.
But I also feel like the complexity inherent in this is one that you can have conversations about all these different characters and not be like, well, we never fucking learned anything about them, so we can't talk about them. Like, every random person in the show, we can be like random investigator guy. It's like he's a dad, he goes home to this crazy girl who's getting banned on the forums because we keep seeing her random spam messages and people referring to how they banned her already. And he's out asking questions about the slasher all the time. So he is a random background character we barely get anything with, and we know stuff about him and can have conversations about. All right, we have Killian from the episode Takes a Sudden Turn. The gray people are just the ordinary public with no story significance. The fact that episodes prior, when the gray crowd gained color, was significant to show the scale and reach of the dollars when Mikado organized them, thus them being in color, showing their significance to the story's climax of that arc. You could have a whole different story going on in the background where other people are, like, these people are all gray to those people because it just has nothing to do with them, right? This is just the actions of one group of friends and then another. This is one group of people. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all the different ensembles that we have going on. That what's going on with their lives and this whole other grander conspiracy, possibly by Isaiah and Devil Dad guy. I can't remember. Shinra's dad. What makes the dollars significant is that they don't have a color, but also have every color, because anyone can join anonymously. Sorry, I don't know what I was trying to say. There can be dollars within the yellow scarves, and no one would be able to know. Remember, the good cops are the ones face down in puddles of blood, inept and incapable of doing anything in the face of the monster alien or protagonist. Kinosuke prefers to be the cop that gets shit done, who puts the fear of law in the monster aliens and protagonists that undermine the authority of the law.
How is he going to put the fear of God and say
Fear of the law?
Fear of the law. In an immortal Viking Irish creature.
She's running away from him.
So it's by sheer will alone?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Again, he chases her down. He gives a speech to her. She runs away from him.
Mm-hmm. I don't see how that's possible, but the show clearly says otherwise, so I guess I'm wrong.
Yes, I believe that when the show is the one that's disagreeing with you and it's not just me, that's when you have to be the one that's in the wrong. All right, well, those are the comments. We, of course, also have a board. What's up with that? What's up with that? Well, I will admit that I did not have the time I normally do to get stuff done, so I almost didn't even get the board done. I almost thought about, well, I've got these 3 images and names, maybe I'll just do this live with lessons. Then I thought about how much Lessons cares about the show, so I rushed to get done what I could get done. Which is to say, I got the new characters on the board. I did not cover any previous character interactions that I may have missed from last episode. So I would say if you think something really important character interaction relationship-wise occurred, remind me in the comments and I'll add it to the board.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
All right, new opening.
Yes. I don't hate this song, but it feels very generic anime compared to the song of the first season or first core.
Well, I mean, I said that was like one of the best anime opening songs I can remember. And granted, it's not even in my favorite like genre of music. Like obviously, well, I don't know, because I would say Macross 7. Macross 7 is definitely a show that is all my style of music, but I don't know that I was super in love with its opening either.
I mean, it was fun, but I mean, I'm talking about one of the things that actually went very much viral when it came to Durarara was the opening song, right? Like, what's this other show? That's also got an opening go viral, which is going right now.
You probably are talking about Oshinoko, but I was going to say your boy Kong Ming.
No. I'm talking about the one with the aliens and or Ghost. The kid that was it's
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the idea of an anime called Aliens and or Ghosts. Just ask the actual name.
No, it's these two kids who one believes that there's ghosts and the other one's Dan, yeah. Which is, the music is, down.
Give me a second, because I've never actually, well, one, I've never seen the opening. Two, I've never seen the show.
I've seen the opening.
Literally, it's like, what do you call, osmosed its way into my head what the show is about. So, that's why it took me so long, Aliens and Ghosts.
Oh, this.
The thing is, if there was better translation going on here, like the ability to read the names under each thing, or what was going on here, other than, obviously, if it was overlaid, say, way easier to figure this out, what's going on.
And also, they were not using a Mac OS as well.
Well, you know how I deep investigate the shows like Gundam Seed, where I take a screenshot and then I if I thought more was happening here, I just don't think I'd want to screenshot every couple of seconds so I'd see what every. Yeah, imagine this. This would be 5 different screenshots in 2 seconds that I'd have to take.
Yeah.
To Google Translate via image. This is one of those, at this point, if you want to tell me in comments who's saying what in the chat room, just fucking tell me. Yeah. Again, the person who got banned.
私自身の過去に分かちがたく結びついているとは、その時の私はまだ少しも知らないでいた。
Mother?
Yeah, no, I had this whole long thing about what they had written before in the chat and trying to figure it out, and they mainly talk nonsense. Repeated words and stuff.
It's interesting. This is supposed to be a high-end apartment, but the outside looks so grungy.
Well, it has to. He's an underworld doctor, remember? Not going to be the person you think it's going to be? It's going to be Henri?
Yeah, looking into your dad who in the shower and wearing a mask. That's
Shower Your Dad Simulator.
No, thank you. And not for the reasons you might think. It's just I don't want to walk into my table.
Sorry, it's more confusing for you to say not for the reasons you might think, because I would think the obvious ones. And if it's not for the obvious ones...
No, but because are you saying Dad Simulator? What is it? No, is it Dad Simulator? Oh no, you talk about another. Oh yeah, now I know the one you're talking about.
The video game,
which is taking a shower with your dad. That's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the game where you have to find your right dad amongst a group of other dads in a shower.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the one where it's bunch of guys. It says a romance visual novel thing, and you're supposed to, they're all dads. That because I saw a bunch of YouTubers play it back in the day. I thought they were talking about that one too.
今のは君を試したのだよ、セルティ君。すぐに私を解放すれば。あいたたたたたたた、刺さってる影の先っちょが少し。
Again, he's not intimidating.
私はリアルに危機的状況に陥っている。
I guess maybe I just thought of it because the mask is like pretty cool, so I thought he might be a cool guy.
もちろんさ。
な？
毎度あり。
貴様には遺産がやらんからそう思え。
別にいらないし。
Well, yeah, because if you're trying to create immortality, then there will be no inheritance because you won't die.
魂を奪われるのは本望さ。
You know, thinking about it, how much of our economic system is based on death, as well as birth? Right? Like, to transfer the wealth between generations?
Yeah.
Think about it.
No, I'm trying to think of the name of the thing, but I couldn't. The tax you have to pay on inheritance.
No, but the idea is that if you accumulate wealth as you live, right? If you don't die, you keep that wealth to yourself. Or maybe even lose it, probably. But it doesn't transfer to other people, it doesn't transfer to family members, etc. So, yeah.
I don't know. Probably a lot more bigger problems with having people live forever than just the wealth situation.
もちろん。
もちろんって君。
それが何か問題でも？
Yeah, but in this case, if he wants to live forever and he has money, it'll never pass to his child unless he gives it away as a gift.
I think the more common situation is not having anything to pass on except for debt.
True.
今のままの私が好きだと言ってくれている。
仕方ない。交際を認めよう。代わりに今後私のことは
Dad?
お父様と呼ぶよう
Yeah,
に。
same. Close enough.
それはそうとセルティ君。首なしのままじゃ昔の記憶も戻らんよ。君が故郷のアイルランドで首を持つデュラハンだった頃の記憶はね。
それは仕方がない。
What word did he use for Ireland in Japanese? That's what I want to know.
I mean, obviously, this is the gateway for those memories to be something very awful, involving a lot of characters that we know somehow.
ウェディングドレスのサイズを測るから、とりあえずその影の服はないで。
思えば昔から解剖をすると嬉しそうに笑う変態的な子供だった。
Ew. He's into corpses. That explains why he's into a headless girl.
Except she's not a corpse.
True, but, you know.
I think the one defining factor between the two is that she's moving. And probably warm.
Hopefully. Well, necessarily, she's a supernatural creature.
But see, also it makes it feel so trivial. It's like, that's not a reveal, you just said it.
逆上したドジっ子の攻撃など簡単に先が読める。
父さんでもセルティをバカにすると許さないよ。
Like I said, not as threatening as I had first envisioned him being. But I guess that's mostly because of the mask. Okay, so he's not the uncle, like I was guessing? Also, he just sold it to a pharmaceutical company. He's like not even that important of a guy.
Oh yeah, the elevator trick thing.
He ran to the elevator from a person who can just run down buildings. I'm gonna say this, Lessons. What the fuck, dude? I mean, granted, smart move. Hit the button and go into the closet. And then you're actually gonna go into the elevator. This dude's just comedy relief. I'm gonna say this. I don't think he's gonna be immortal at all.
あ、セルティさん。
どうかしたのか？こんなところでぼんやりして。
あ、ちょっと考え事してて。
言ってみろ。その考え事、雰囲気が暗い。
切り裂き魔のことなんですけど、ネットの掲示板とかで妙な噂が広がってて。
妙な噂？
ええ、切り裂き魔はダラーズの
Probably is. Who
Yeah, I mean,
isn't?
if anybody can be,
そんな
yeah.
噂を信じているのか？
Question now is who isn't part of the dollars? The yellow scars over there. Yeah.
噂が一人歩きしたら何か危険なことが起こりそうで、ただでさえダラーズと黄金族の緊張関係が高まってる時に。
I mean, isn't with the relationship between the dollars and every other gang restrained? Because we know
Yeah.
there's 3 primary gangs that operate here.
Mhm.
Yellow scarves, blue
私も切り裂き魔のことを調べて。
squares,
Blue one. This was, yeah.
something
Yeah, those
else,
names,
green something. I
those
think.
names, those names sound like what's the movie that
あり
is
がとうございます。
in the 70s about this gang that gets trapped behind
The
in Brooklyn and
Warriors.
has to go. The Warriors, yeah, which is based on Xenophon's story.
Yeah, but it's not like color-based stuff. Those are like
No, but they,
themes.
yeah, but the idea that they have these weird names for gangs, like yellow scarves, and you know,
私が首なしじゃなかったら死んでい
Red
たのに。
balloons, green
the
clovers.
clowns.
Now it's starting to name Lucky Charm Slayers.
Yeah, no.
先に言えよ。よし、殺す。絶対殺す。確実に殺す。狙って殺す。
いやほら、私は首なしライダーだから、全然平気だから。
いやいやいや、もうそういう問題じゃないから。刃向けたイコール万死だろ、普通は。
Except she doesn't have a sword, she has a scythe.
今休憩中だろ。
いい女も。
No, but she's talking about the person that attacked
私のた
her.
めに首になるなんて。
He said drawing your sword usually means death, right? He said to her. I'm saying that she has a scythe, not a sword. Also, it never meant
Yeah.
death, because nobody she's ever hit with it died.
だが、なるべく早くしてくれよ。殺す殺す殺す殺す殺す殺す。
So why does he want to kill him then?
He's also got an anger problem.
理由があった。
Oh,
いやあ、君から会いに来てくれるなんて嬉しいよ。ところでどう？首は見つかった？
how does she drink though?
首のことはいいんだ。
I don't think she does.
ちゃんと直入に言うぞ。切り裂き魔のことを知りたい。
3枚でいいよ。
Alright, here's my car payment bill, here's my
それにしても
electric bill, and here's my homeowner's
そして
insurance.
強い光を当てたら影が消えてすっぱだかになっちゃったりするのかな。
見たいのか。
別に。
I mean, also probably the light would be so bright you wouldn't see anything anyway.
ライトは違って首なしとか首だけに浴場したりしないからさ。
I do like getting choked
私
though.
はいい。次に神羅を貶めたらただじゃおかね。
I mean, that seems like the way to fight this, right?
はいしや。
Everything's my kink, actually.
でも
I
さ、
think it's not.
もし他のデュラハンが現れて誘惑されたら、案外
He's too cool-mannered. When he gets some supernatural creatures, you just nearly kill him.
それならそれで。
神羅を殺して君も死ぬ？
Because he's got one over on everybody.
私以外の首なし女をね。
I think he's a trickster god of some sort. So yeah.
Nah, I think he's just a guy.
What, a rich guy who's bored and wants to play people against each other?
I think Rich comes into it. I mean, probably he does have money, but
君が人間に近づくほど首を取り戻した時のギャップは大きくなるかもしれないんだからさ。
そんなのは首を取り戻してから考えればいい。いや正直もう別に首はなくてもいいとさえ考えている。そんなことより今は切り裂き魔の情報をよこせ。金を受け取っておいて何もないとか言うなよ。
大丈夫だって。警察やマスコミやネットにも流してないとっておきの情報がある。実は君が来るのを待ってたんだよ。
どういうことだ？
今回の事件は地味猛量の世界だからさ。
said the guy to a Dulahan.
サイカ？
信じがたい話だけど、 サイカはかつてこの新宿に実在した妖刀でね。
用途
Yeah, he's the part where he
村
talks
正
about
ブレ
the
ードみたいな
theories.
のか。
そう、怪しい魔力を持つ刀。
どうしたの？
Not super fantastical then.
サイカっていう妖刀の話を聞いたんだ。
Well, he called it. It had dubious magical powers. Dubious. Was in
Oh,
not
because
to be believed.
True. Or not. It could be a mistranslation of not precisely known.
それがサイカの仕業だ。
But yes, use the word dubious means that it doesn't. Could have, but not really.
決まってネットにサイカというハンドルが現れてるんだ。
Also, that's her handle, Saika.
私は近づいてきた奴の存在に気づかなかった。サイカが人外の類なら何か気配を感じるはずなんだが。
And yet she never says that about when she's with Isaiah, so implying that he is human.
I mean, he didn't detect the Saika as being magical either, so that's 2 strikes against him. Her ability to detect stuff.
ほら、前に調べてくれって言ってたからさ。
If Isaiah is some kind of trickster god, then maybe he can hide his
No,
divinity.
she always knows where he is. Not no, always knows where he is. Like not Santa Claus. She's never confused about him being there, implying that she knows where he is.
やあ、おかえり。ネブラが矢切製薬を吸収合併した後、浪江城の行方を独自に調査していたら、品品と君の部屋に通っているのが見つかったわけだ。そこでちょいとこのモデルガンで脅して一緒に入らせてもらった。
Son of a bitch.
おや、言わなかったかな？
The Joker aspect of this character is still throwing me off.
そんなことをしたら困るのは君たちの方じゃないかね。私の証言に基づいて捜索すれば部屋から若い女の生首が。なるほど。切り裂き魔に代わる一大センセーションにはなりそうだ。
やっぱりシンラの歪んだ性格はあなた譲りだ。
褒めても何も出んよ。まあ正直な話、首をすぐに取り戻す必要はない。
I mean, he could still turn out to be some sort of like creepy, intimidating character. It's just really going to be hard to pull that out after all this. But you already did that on your own.
何しろ君は首に対して実に興味深いアプローチを試みているようだからね。バルキリーイコールデュラハンという説に基づき、首をある種の勢力間構想下に置いて独自に目覚めさせる。
So a Valkyrie and a dual hand is the same thing in this world.
まあ、いろいろ試してますよ。いざとなれば紛争地域で持っていくしかないかもしれませんがね。とりあえず、そちらとは協力体制。
Well, why awake Valkyrie unless you want to awake Ragnarok?
Because it's not one of the same.
But Valkyries are
Yes.
the guardians of the dead.
Yes,
Apollo dead
there
for
are
the day of
dead
Ragnarok.
outside of Ragnarok. Not everybody died at Ragnarok. Some people, you might not understand, died before that.
Yes. That's
So you're
not what
not
I'm saying.
You're not
I'm saying
inviting
that-
Ragnarok, that's what I'm saying. One person dying, or even a battlefield of people dying, is not itself Ragnarok. There were battlefields before Ragnarok. It's literally what you said. Now, if you're trying to explain further, let me stop interrupting you, but it is literally what you said.
Valkyries are the keepers of the holy dead for Odin, and so for the idea being that they will be ready to fight in the day of Ragnarok on the side of the
Right, but they also historically visit the dead in the battlefields before Ragnarok. Historically. In mythology. Not historically. Maybe historically in this world. That's right, I'm assuming Kaida's gonna be around here in a second. Yep, see? Happens every time.
私はアンリを心配しているんだよ。うわ、呼び捨て。デンジャラス。あんまり心配すると、アンリも新川先輩みたいに転校しちゃいますよ。先生確か去年担任だったんですよね。新川春菜さん。
I am more confusing by he looks confused. Oh, he did before he looks concerned.
はい、名前だけ。そんじゃ俺ら生徒は。
I almost feel like it's gonna turn out that we're wrong and he's not what we think he is. Although I don't know what the age difference between these two is. He could be like
I mean, would
3
you
years
just-
older than her, and it's not as creepy as it looks to be.
I mean, he's still a teacher, though.
Sure,
It's a power
but it
and
doesn't.
balance. It's
Yeah,
power and balance right there. More than 3 years, because college was...
it's just the nervous action that he had there. Just doesn't seem like the person who's like, I did this thing. Oh no, you're calling me out on it. It seems more like you don't understand, or I'm being repressed by something else. Maybe he has the sword. Maybe that's the false narrative. The mind controlling sword, I mean. Hope none of us get slashed. Well, we just saw the slasher behind a wall thing. Okay, Kaida's either about walking to the hospital right now. Oh, okay. I thought he was either going to do that or he's about to pull a Walter White where he's like, this is my territory. He just starts a fight with some people.
I like that office setup. It's very nice.
All that typing. Just got a question mark.
Typical writer, I mean.
Because that's all my dad does. Sell shit to people.
魂を切れる刀って言われてる。
まさか。
そう。父さんは君の首を盗むためにサイカを使ったんだ。
I think it's insane that we're just learning this. Like, people are just saying it. It's not a discovery, it's just stuff we're talking about. If your head was attached to your body, you weren't a Doulahan.
But she became a Doulahan when she had her head cut off?
Or it was just a lie told to her headless body that you were always headless, and thus a Doulahan.
She seems to be behaving like a Doulahan.
Well, if you had no memories and you were told you were one, you would probably behave as the thing that you thought you were.
It's including summoning a scythe and having a horse?
Supernatural, man. We don't know what her supernatural nature is if she wasn't a Doulahan. All right. Couple of conversations to get into that I remember we had last time. First one, though, back to the teacher thing.
Yeah.
I keep mentioning that I've been watching Apothecary Diaries. And there's a conspiracy theory in my head when it comes to that show, which is that one of the servants, which is specifically a poison taster, who has been shown to like be grinning maniacally when something bad is about to happen to the person that they serve, is one of my theories is that they are actually the only person looking out for this person and have actually been throwing themselves under the bus to take the blame for something for a greater conspiracy at play. I'm not going to get into all that, obviously, because I'm not going to break down a whole other show in the credits of this show. But the only thing that I can't explain in that is the maniacal grin. Like, because I think everything else at play is explaining that personality trait. But then they keep flashing back to that maniacal grin, and it's like, well, why were they doing that then? Unless maybe they were grinning at the thought of somebody else getting poisoned and not their leader, because it's also a matter of the food getting switched out. And that's what makes me think about the teacher, that maybe they're getting blamed for the student that had to transfer, because they're being viewed in their current light as like a sexual predator.
Yeah.
私はただ知りたかっただけなのだ。このガラクタを詰め込んだような街のエネルギーの源を、日々膨れ上がる欲望の街の真相を、次回、愚者
No, you
一
hate
徳。
jazz, but I like that.
Can't even hear it, so not even a problem. Anyway, that maybe they are being blamed for what happened in the past due to the current light in which they get viewed as a sexual predator. Now, that's what I'm saying. They could still be a creeper, but that might not have anything to do with what happened in the past. Like, you know, what if you saved a little girl that was trapped in a well, and then 5 years later, you got brought up on molestation charges for something else?
Yeah.
You could still have been a hero in the past, and then fucked up your whole future. the two things don't, well, they can correlate because obviously it shows a pattern, but I'm saying they don't actually have to correlate, though. You
Yeah.
could have been a hero and then fucked it all up. That's what I'm saying. The teacher could be a horrible person, but also that doesn't have to have anything to do with what happened in the past.
True.
Now then, to a longer discussion that we had last time, which apparently, well, not apparently, which half of which did not get recorded, and obviously we're not going to have the whole thing again. Also, I think I finally spotted something, and the next time on this second viewing that I didn't spot last time when we had the whole discussion. Why show the knife come down if the expected happens, right? That she gets slashed or stabbed. And I think my past point was that obviously the interesting thing would be if it didn't happen. There's a whole series about asking the question why show it if it does happen, because that wouldn't be interesting to just see it happen. And I think obviously without having the whole debate this time, we literally see her against the wall and what seems to be, oh god, I can't remember his name, a super strong guy. Shizu seems to be rushing in, so clearly it's going to be Shizu interrupts the stabbing attempt and saves her.
I would hope so.
Well, we had this whole back and forth thing where you thought that it was just going to happen, and you were debating me on my whole why show it if it wasn't going to happen point. Like, I can't remember the exact back and forth, but that was essentially the point, is to ask why and then trying to find a reason for it. The Occam's razor of visual storytelling. Don't show something that's obviously going to happen. So what was not going to happen, and what's the simplest solution to it not happening? And I believe I didn't even go into all the trying to figure out what was going to happen, but my answer to the question why would be because it's not going to happen. And now I think I can spot two things in the next time on, which is, again, her against the wall looking up and shocked, and him against a night sky that exactly matches the background of where the hand's coming down, rushing into a scene. So these two things put together tells me that that's what's going to happen.
I mean, on the other hand, he was talking with Celti about killing someone else because he's pissed off at someone else. Well, actually, no, he was pissed off at the person that cut off, attempted to cut off Celti's head.
Well, two things. He has that conversation, gets on the back of her motorcycle, she pushes him off, and drives away, and he goes walking into the night.
Yeah.
Second thing, that could be a completely different night. Because remember, between that and the rest of the episode is a day. So
yeah,
we don't know what he's up to right now.
True. Just wandering the city.
Well, probably collecting money for... hold on, let me look back at the board again. Well, I can never remember anyone's names. Tanaka. Because he acts as the strong man to Tanaka when Tanaka gets shakedown money.
So, I mean, yes, the attack could be stopped. Yes, the attack could begin. She gets harmed, but doesn't get, severely does. Like, she gets one cut, and when she goes for a second or third strike, that's when something happens, intervenes. It could be Celti. It could be a third party. It could be this guy.
No, I mean, I will, sorry. The gambler in me, I was about to say I'll put down money. Because I figure I can guess what's going to happen based on both past precedents, my whole previous argument, which again, apologies to you viewer who don't get to hear our back and forth, and what I'm guessing now based on the next time on, is that she is going to be slashed at. He is going to rush in and knock her back against the wall, which is why she's now on the ground looking up, shocked as she was, and that he is going to get stabbed by the knife. Based on past... Do you remember the fight that he had with Kari? I can't remember his name. Where he gets stabbed with so many pencils or pens or whatever, just all through the hand. Yeah, dude gets stabbed a lot. He's going to get stabbed again. Or slashed, or whatever. That's going to be the scene, and that's when he's going to fight back, or they're going to run away, or whatever the fuck happens from there.
Yeah. We'll see next one.
Technically, yes.
Yes. And technically, it's the best form of correct.
Technically, it's the best form of Lee. Technically. Not a big fan
The
of
dad
Technics,
chick.
are you?
Yeah, I know. Okay. That was a joke. Anything else?
Well, I mean, I've been saying everything. What else do you have?
I mean, the fact that Shinra's dad is manipulating both sides as well, that he knows where the head is, but is not telling Celti about it.
Not really manipulating both sides, manipulating one side.
Oh, no, both sides. Yeah, he's manipulating his son and his.
Well, I would argue he's manipulating Isaiah. He's just fucking around with Celti and his son. He says, "Oh yeah, no, I did this. This is what I did. Also, let me show you something." You know? That's not like messing. He's not like manipulating them. That would.
Why is he doing it? Though that's the thing.
Which part? Why is he telling them that? I guess maybe because he has. Yeah, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. It's dumb.
Because he does say that what's his other name character wants to create a conflict. Like, oh, you have the head because you won. Isaiah, you want to create a conflict. What does that have to do with him, though?
I don't know. Like, I think it's more Isaiah said that than he did. Because Isaiah is the one who says, I'll do this thing even if I have to create a war zone. So Isaiah is the one who's saying that I'll make a conflict. Because that's the whole source of your Ragnarok argument.
Yeah, Isaiah's only interest is because often people doing stupid shit or harming themselves for some reason.
Yeah, as per the first 2 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
Where he almost got somebody to jump off the roof.
Mm-hmm. Complete asshole.
He's not. He's fun.
You might find an asshole fun. It's still an asshole.
Depends on what you're into.
It says more about you than it says about me in this situation, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're the one saying it. You're saying it referring to me, so obviously it refers more to me than it does to you. It'd be weird. I guess I'd have to pull I don't know, I'm rubber and you're glue to make it make more sense to you.
And yeah, that rhymed.
No, it didn't actually. I'm rubber, you're glue. I have to say it makes more sense. Yeah, I guess it did. No, I was saying that the second verse rhymed with the third verse instead of the fourth verse, so I thought it didn't rhyme. Thought I forgot there was like a middle interrogative between the verses, so I guess it kind of did.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we were doing like a Screwface John, if you ever watched his channel, about rap battle breakdowns and like verse structure versus rhyming structure versus the background music's syllabic beat, then I probably would have something more to say about how that I was originally right, and this doesn't apply at all. Because obviously, I think if you're actually trying to make a rhyming beat, you're not going to accidentally just fall into one, especially somebody who, have already said, not into hip hop, and yet watches and can name an entire channel dedicated to the breakdowns of rap battles. And you don't even know them. And I would say that like one of the most popular ones, at least the one I know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's good to be educated on stuff that you don't even like, because the same way that I have like a favorite sports team in most sports, or racers or independents, because if I'm stuck having a conversation with somebody, it's good to have something. You don't want to be like, I don't know anything about what you're talking about, because that's just not, I don't know, gentlemanly is the word that came to my mind. It's just not friendly. You should have some sort of way in.
Yeah, well, but I prefer not to weigh in if I make an ass of myself, so.
Well, you can only make an ass of yourself if you weigh in and then try to press your point when you have no point. Like, you talking about racers, and I was like, I don't really know Mark Martin. It's because he was the guy who wore the Target car back when I used to work at Target, and be like, oh, that's something to at least initiate a conversation. It's not like, oh, Mark Martin's the fucking best racer of all time. What are you fucking talking about? And all I know is that he did the Target car. It's like, no, you don't push yourself.
Racer, and I thought racers? Is he talking about shaving implements? But I didn't want to say anything.
Oh, yeah, now you're pulling the technically.
No. I just misunderstood what you were saying. You
No,
were not
see-
wrong. I just misunderstood.
No, of course I'm not wrong. 'Cause you just admitted that you just misheard me. I'm not saying that I was wrong or you were right. I'm just saying that this is the whole technically thing from before.
Yeah.
I said racers, you said razors. I was like, yes, my favorite razor is Mark Martin. Mark 5.
Isn't that it?
Now, there's a whole joke about how razors are. Men must only be naming them because it's like, I can't even think of a razor name off the top of my head, but they're all fucking stupid. You get Atomic Mark 5. Closest shave you'll ever get. It's like, what?
You said Mark 5 and racers, and now I was thinking about Speed Racer for some reason, which is a Mach 5, which is also a racer, not a racer, but
Well, I think they're both. I think the Mach 5 is also a razor.
yeah, that's what I said.
No, you said it was a racer, not a razor. And I was like, no, it is both.
Actually, it's a car, so no.
Oh, it's a car and a racer. I think a Mach 5 is from Gillette.
Yes.
Yes. So it's the Mach 5, the car from Speed Racer, which is itself named after a speed. So it's three things, really. Well, I guess it's three things in that a noun can just be anything. You know, if I name myself Ebola, then it's not just that Ebola is a disease and a name, because a proper noun is just, I don't think you can count a proper noun as a thing, unless you're referring to me specifically, and in which case you just have a whole bibliography of, sources of things named.
Like Ebola, yes. So we're back in...
You were explaining Ragnarok for the third time.
No. I actually wanted to avoid the whole Ragnarok thing this time around.
Well, most people do, especially Loki.
True.
And Thor. And Loki's dad, whatever his name was, I can't remember.
But the giant, yeah.
The Frost Giant, yes.
Yes. Shinra seems to be messing with his son and Celti, but for what reason, I don't know.
You did that wrong. Shinra is the son's name.
Oh, so what's in the father's name?
I'm going to go back to the board. Shinjin.
Shinjin's messing with Shinra and
Thank
Celti.
God every character I've needed a name for has been exactly where I've been zoomed in on the board.
For whatever reason. And was he the one... You also said that he could be both the uncle and the father as well, because they remember the uncle being the person that brought the head from Ireland, blah, 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 so many years ago. And
the uncle was the one that got the head. That's so far back, I can't remember. I had... my idea was that it was all connected, but apparently he's saying it's not, if I'm reading this right. He's saying he sold the head to a pharmaceutical company, in which case that means that he sold the head to their uncle, and that their uncle isn't Shinjin.
Yeah.
So they're not related. It was just my guess back when I didn't have enough information.
I mean, they're related and they're brothers.
No, I think you're misinterpreting information.
I mean, if the uncle must be a brother too.
No, their uncle, as in, forget, I'm not zoomed in on their name, so this is actually going to take a pan. Hold on.
Paternal or maternal uncle?
No, you're wrong. Just hold on. Give me a second to tell you why you're wrong. Name and Seji's uncle.
Oh, uncle to someone else.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. You're wrong, because we already know that Shinra and Shinjin's last name is Kishitani or something like that, and Nami and whatever is named Yagiri, and it's the Yagiri's uncle is the one that Shinjin sold the head to, and then they took over their uncle's business, I guess. That's why they run that pharmaceutical company. But either way, Shinjin sold it to the head of some pharmaceutical company, which turns out to be their uncle, because he had it in his study? I don't know. Yeah.
But now he knows where it is, but it's not telling Celti. Who, by the way, apparently
he did.
For some reason.
He did tell Celti.
Forgot all about it. He told Celti that he knew where it was. He didn't tell you where it was.
I said I sold it to some pharmaceutical company, and then we had this whole thing with Name already.
But
so
that was
Celti,
in the past. Now he knows where it is because he.
No. I'm saying that Celti already had the encounter with Name earlier, And everyone knows Name works for a pharmaceutical company. So when he says, I sold the head to some pharmaceutical company, past experience Celti has already had with Name is like, oh, these two things correlate together. So him
but
saying
right
that,
now,
that's what I'm saying. Him
right
saying
now,
that right now means that Celti now knows. If she didn't know already, and I think she already did actually know already.
but the head is no longer in the hands of the pharmaceutical company. It's in the heads of
Isaiah.
this guy, Isaiah, which means he knows that Isaiah has it, but she didn't tell
Celti should
her.
too.
Why would Celti know?
Because, as we've already covered, well, here's the problem: is I don't know. This is more of an element of the comment section than the show, but the comment section is saying that it is known that Name is hanging out with Isaiah all the time now. So, if Name had the head and is now hanging out with Isaiah all the time, I don't think it's too far of a stretch for Celti to think, oh, maybe Isaiah has the head.
But she no longer cares about the head anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's the pointlessness of this debate that we're having, is that we're trying to figure out what Celti knows about the head when Celti doesn't give a shit about the head
anymore.
Because there's the element that when she puts if she ever put the head back on, she would stop being Celti and start being Celti.
Yeah, wherever she happens to be.
The head and the body both share the name, so it's just one of a possessive noun like sort of situation where if I cut my arm off and I Deadpool another body and we both have the same name because we both decided to call ourselves, like, he doesn't become Agent X because we haven't entered that storyline of the Deadpool story arc yet. For those of you who do read the Deadpool storyline, nor has he eaten 500 pounds of pizza or whatever the fuck Agent X eats to become 500 pounds later on.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing is, it still seems to be important.
It's an important narrative device. It's not an important character device anymore.
Yeah, but then how is that going to start a battlefield if the only person who really cares about, two people, used to care about the head. One of them doesn't care about it anymore, and the other one is a pharmaceutical company. So
I don't think it has to be. It doesn't have to be the problem. Sorry, I was going to say it doesn't have to be the problem. That's also not what I meant to say either. It doesn't have to be the impetus of the fight. I think the idea is that it has to be present for the fight. If the idea is that it's a Valkyrie and that it's going to be maybe our main characters, again, they're story important characters, which is why they're colored. It's a weird thing to say. Means that any of them in one gathered area, or even all of them in one gathered area where a fight is happening, could be the impetus to awaken a Valkyrie.
But that means that the head would awaken as its own entity?
That's what we've already covered. The fact that the head is separate from Celti. One is memories. It hasn't woken up yet, so we don't really know. Just whatever the impetus is that they've put out there for us as the importance of the head by itself.
See, that's why going down these rabbit holes at some point, and you're like, I can't. I'm done.
Yeah, I know. We've covered this before when I try to figure out what's happening. And you're like, well, we don't know that. And I'm like, yes, that's the whole point of hypothesizing what could be. Because even if we're wrong, we may have created a better story.
Maybe. But we didn't write this one, so we have to deal with the one that we're watching.
Yeah, but you only have to deal with it after it's there. And we only watch an episode or two at a time. Not this one specifically, but other shows that we watch. In which case, we could come up with a better story and then find out what they came up with. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, other than the fact that you don't like it.
I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like it. It's that it's ultimately it has very little bearing on the story itself.
Yes, I know. I already guessed you were going to say ultimately pointless, but you know what? Most of life is ultimately pointless. It's all a rush to the grave. So why not enjoy it for a little bit? Because what's the grave here in this metaphor but the end of the story that we didn't write? We can guess our way, like mad grasps of what the story's going to give us and what we think would be the more enjoyable thing, and then discover that much like life, there's not going to be fun surprises awaiting us.
That I think feels like a dead end unto itself.
Yes, but much like the previous examples, everything is a dead end. So you might as well, like, if you so. Sorry, I was going to make a maze metaphor. Now I realized down here we used to have something. I don't know if it's still open. Might have closed down by now. Maze Mania. You ever heard anything like that?
No.
It's a giant fenced area, and the internal fences can all be switched around, so you can close one fenced area. So it's a giant maze. It's a giant human maze that changes its layout like 3 or 4 times a day. So you buy like a punch card, and you go running in, and you try and find the cheese, which is a punch card. So you're trying to beat a certain time, and you get rewards if you can beat certain times. And I went in there with my mother like a long time ago, and she got pissed off with it, like because you get lost in there, and if you can't find your way out, and it's hot, it's a hot day, God forbid, you know. So you just make of it what you can, right? You get in there, you find a fucking dead end, you leave, and you had fun, right? Whatever fun you can make of it. Dead ends are what you make of them. I stuck it through, got the fucking cheese, and ran out. Like, there's a picture, I think I must be like 17, 15, 14, sub 18. That's all I can. There's a picture of me, arms in the air, like, yeah, I did it. Got out. Nowhere near a time to get any rewards for, but I did it. That's the point. You make what fun you can. So, even if it's a dead end and it's worthless to the world at large, you gotta make sure you're enjoying your time. Because if you're not enjoying your time, what are you laboring through it for?
I think it's a good question to leave it at.
Well, I disagree, but I'm still going to leave it there anyway, because I've enjoyed the conversation as per the metaphor. Anyway, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?